Hello Internet! I recently made an order with Second Chance Games, and when I was buying a expansion for a game, I thought I'd also pick up this little game. This is Phobos Rising, Insurgency on Mars, from Decision Games and part of their minigame series. I've never bought a Decision Games game before, and this was only about just over £15, very small price, for a tiny little solitaire game which could act as a nice little palate cleanser between some of the heavier things I've been playing. So I'm going to take a little look at this, get it open, get it prepared, play a few games, and generally give you my thoughts on it. So, the first question is, what is Phobos Rising? Let's just have a little look at the blurb, shall we? Phobos Rising is a solitaire game depicting the heroic actions of an elite team attempting to secure key facilities on Mars. Success means Mars has been secured, and the Martian Revolution, depicted at the start of the Free Mars game, begins with a general uprising across the colony bases and ships in the solar system. This game is set in the Free Mars universe and is a prequel to the Free Mars box game. For one player, hex scale of 600 kilometers a hex and a playtime of 60 minutes. Very simple game, made for solitaire, similar contents, and interestingly, I've never heard of Free Mars before, the universe or the boxed game, but depending on how much I like this, I might end up picking it up, so this could be a nice little taster. Either way, I spotted it. The minigame series contains lots of things. They're not all solitaire games, but this one is. There are many other solitaire games in the collection, and the collection is huge, covering loads of different battles, from historic fights to sci-fi like this, to some more modern stuff, the World War II. But this is what's taken my eye. There's also a Vikings game that's taken my eye, and if I like this, I'll probably top up my next order from Second Chance Games with that as well. And as always, I'm not sponsored by Second Chance Games or anything, but I will always give them a shout out. They have brilliant customer service, and for the UK, they are just the best place to get hex and counter games. So let's open this up. So it comes in a nice storage baggie. I do have stacks and stacks of baggies, but it's good that something comes with them. Here we have the counter sheet. So there's only 40 counters, but looking at them there's some good art on them, and the die cut itself looks really well registered, so two-sided. I'll be cutting these out shortly, and I'll clip in the corners, seeing just how well they punch. I mean, they feel quite sturdy in there as it is, so I might need to get the craft knife out to get them out for the first step, but a small selection of counters, but they look well, good quality. It's a good size card as well. And here we have some cards. So these are miniature size. They are very similar size to the equipment cards in Final Girl or Space Infantry, that kind of small size. So 18 cards, mission cards, event cards, and from what I take it, this dictates the turn sequence of the game. Well, not the turn sequence, but the turn count of the game. It's as you go, you're drawing a card each turn, and as the deck ticks down, you get closer and closer to the end game. And with a selection of missions, that should add a bit of variety and a bit of replayability to this. Here we've got some rules. Surface combat, Free Mars. So I think this is the basic rules for the system. So yep, just 4 pages of rules. There's no pictures, no obvious examples. Oh, there's a few examples written out. But, numbered, just numbered sections, so there's going to be some way of looking up things. But yeah, it's a very small rule set, but just at first glance, I think it's going to be a bit densely written, so I might have to have a little of a playthrough whilst reading to get my head around that. But this is for the Free Mars Surface Combat game system, and this seems to be an extra 2 pages to highlight the scenario of Phobos Rising, which is this mini game. So if I do like this, I think obviously the Free Mars will shares some rules with this. It says surface combat, so again, I don't know anything about the Free Mars game, but I'll be looking to get into it if this is good. And here is the map sheet. So it's a small map, 11 by 17, but it's really well printed with a little piece of Mars here. So I mean, it does have some real landmarks to look out for. So there's Olympus Mons, Uranus Patera. So yeah, I did read the Red Mars book trilogy, and so there's going to be a lot of places that I remember from there. And here you've got some general charts that help you out. So you've got some terrain effects charts here, installation chart here. So this covers locations. I don't think they're placed here. I think they might be counters for some of these locations. Yeah, so the spaceport, domes, lab, security link up with here, so they can end up in different places and different games. I think that's a nice random element to the game. Special actions table, terrain key, and a net track. Some kind of track of what's going on. Again, when I get into the rules and have a proper playthrough, I'll be back to have a look at this really. And there's just a few holding boxes around the map. Team box, recruit pool, special units, and permanently eliminated units. So there's so first glance is really well printed. It's on nice paper. It's got good artwork. All the text is really legible, and it reminds me of a bit more of a magazine game where you've got all the charts alongside the map. So this small format game. So this game's got quite a small format. So it folds up into roughly A5 size. I think it's more half letter than A5, to be told the truth. But so next step, gonna get these counters punched and have a little read through the rules. So I've played a few games of Phobos Rising now. I think I've played about 7 different sessions, some standalone, one as a part of the campaign game, and I've really solidified my thoughts about it. Out of these 7 little sessions I've played, I have won 4 times, 3 or 4 times, so it's not a simple game that's guaranteed to win. There is challenge to it, but it's always within reach, so it's a good game for that. Now, for the basic sort of how it plays, each time you play it, it's got a random layout. So for each of these different location pieces, they're randomly determined based on a D66 roll. There's 3 different mission cards. Those are randomly chosen at the beginning of the game, and they start face down. So when you start, you don't even know what mission you're on. And there's no real turn track. You have this deck here, this event deck. This starts with 8 cards in it, and each turn one of these gets drawn. And when you run out of cards, you've got to the end of the game. 8 turns doesn't seem like a lot, but it does change. There are some events which bring in extra cards this from the reserve deck, and some which make it smaller. It can go longer than 8 turns, and because you're not using every card in the game, there are some in the reserve deck, you don't always know what events are going to be in there. Some events that you've seen before won't come up at all, so there's a really good random change. So at the beginning of the game, you have a certain amount of points to pick your team from. You can choose your team counters here, or some equipment, which are these green markers. And every turn you make a move with your team around the world. You draw an event card, and it could be some enemy forces attack you, or it could be forcing you to make a challenge against one of your special actions. Like forcing you to make a challenge against, say, your leadership or against your piloting skills. There's certain positives and negatives. Like I said, the deck can shrink, get bigger. Your net track can go up and down, or your forces can get reduced. There's all sorts of different possibilities that can happen. And each turn you can also do a special action. So this will be things like recruiting new people, trying to convert these facilities to your rebel control. And there's also net running. So not only do you have this track ticking down, driving the game, you have the net track. So this represents like your cyber control over the battle. So if your rebels trying to take over Mars, you're doing these cyber attacks on the existing enemy, and with each of these cyber attacks, your net track rises. Now, the higher it is, the more enemies you face when you do run into opposing forces. It shows like how much effect you're having on the enemy, that they're sending that many forces at you. It also gives you bonus dice when you do get to try and complete the mission each time. So when you finally reveal the secret mission, the mission nexus token is placed somewhere randomly on the board. You've got to get there, you've got to defeat the opposing force there and do a specific challenge, and you get bonus dice based on your net track. So the more cyber attacks you're doing, the better chance you're going to have at completing the mission. But as you run into opposing forces, the higher this is, the stronger the forces are coming at you. Because when a card or arriving in the mission nexus, you face opposing forces, you draw this many randomly from this tab. So you've got your little pool of enemy counters. At the moment, I'd be randomly picking 4. And with my 3 guys and their weapons against 4 of these, some of them will be really weak, some of them will be really strong. As you increase this net track, you're making the final mission easier, but you're making your chance of getting there smaller due to the increased forces. So it's a really good bit of push and pull there. And I like how the event card is like a countdown to the end of the game. That works really, really well. Now, I've played this game, like I said, I've played this game 7 times. The back of the box says it's a 60-minute playtime. That is not the case. Once you've got the rules down, I was playing through a session of this in 20-25 minutes. Getting the rules down is a bit of its own issue, though. But once it clicks, and once you get the flow, and once you know what everything does, you move, draw a card, roll challenges, roll dice, have a combat, it can go really quickly. So this is a really good game to fit into a lunchtime. And with the randomness of it, with the way it is a different layout of locations, a different mission you're not going to know, different events coming in different orders, there's enough variety in this small package that you can play it more than once. So the things I really like about this game is the fact that it's random, is the random layout of the initial locations, the random missions, the random builds of the event deck. You're not going to get exactly the same place twice. You're not going to get the same map twice. And there's always going to be that little bit of challenge from there. And the challenge from it is reasonable. Like I said, I've played 7 games. I've won 3 or 4 of them. Not entirely sure, but it's about 50%. And there is challenge there. None of the games have been a cakewalk. All of the games, I feel like it's been within my grasp. And I've been diced in some cases. it's not been a plan issue, it's been a randomness issue, but it doesn't feel unfair. So and choosing who you recruit and when you recruit them and which items you use, and when you do suffer losses, you get to choose who you lose, and choosing who you lose can really have an effect on the next card draw. So so there's randomness to it. It doesn't feel unfair, and that's the important thing. Now, there are a few things I dislike. Well, the first one's not a huge dislike, but it is something I would change, because with the counters for the good guys and the enemies, you have a standard combat effective side, and once they've taken a hit, you flip them over to their crashed or reduced side, and it really doesn't look very different. With the player units, you can tell because they've got this little symbol there, like that little spanner in the middle there, that shows their skill, and when you flip them over, it changes to a name, so you can tell with those a bit easier. But with the enemies, when you're randomly pulling them from this tub, you've got the good side and the bad side, except for the numbers, it's really hard, you can't really tell. I just wish they'd had like a yellow stripe, or if on the crashed reduced side the silhouette of the dude was it like a tinged red or something, just something to make it stand out as to which side is the good order, which side is the crashed. Again, that's not a game breaking thing, it's just a one issue where the components did lead to some confusion in the game. The one thing I don't like about the game, though, is this idea of hop movement they have. So each turn you can move your team around. Your team moves around the map as one unit, and they go as fast as their slowest person. So you're either going to be moving 2 hexes or 1 hex. There are some certain terrain features like mountains, volcanoes, chasms. If you move into certain terrain, you just stop there, so you might only get 1 movement depending on where you want to go. To improve your movement, you can get these shuttles. So shuttles are vehicles, they fly through the air, they go over terrain, they can move 2, 3 or even 4 hexes a turn. But you can't get them in your initial team. You can only get them by visiting the spaceport. So wherever the spaceport is, if you get your team there, you can buy one of these shuttles, say this one, and suddenly you're travelling 4 hexes a turn, not being affected by the terrain. Seems like a good thing, but if you're at the spaceport, you can also do a net run event there to try and take control of the spaceport. And when you do take control of the spaceport, which is generally as easy as rolling to recruit a shuttle, you get access to hop movement. So because you control the spaceport, you can hop in one move from the spaceport to anywhere on the board, or from anywhere on the board back. So when you do reveal the mission, and when you reveal the mission nexus, the main mission location will be randomly generated. If you're on the other side of the board and it's opposite to you, you're thinking, oh, I've got a few cards there, I've got to get across that board, I'm moving 4 hexes a turn. There's a time challenge to it, but if you have control of the spaceport, you go 1 turn, hop to the spaceport, next turn, hop right to the mission finale. I mean, you still have to have all your skills lined up and all your troops and the right equipment to make the challenge in the mission. But the hop movement that the spaceport provides, it completely nullifies any of the terrain and any of the challenge of moving around. You can get to anywhere on the planet that you want to, and you can get off there. I mean, thematically it works. If you had a spaceport, you could do that. But it just makes so much of it kind of pointless that I quickly learned that no matter where I was, the first place I wanted to head to was the spaceport. If I get the spaceport, then I can move to any of the other locations and get their special abilities quicker. I just hop there, do that, hop back, hop there, do that, get back. And to build up my skill levels, you get to the spaceport first. And Mars is your oyster. I'm not sure how I'd change that, whether I'd completely get rid of the hop rule and just, say get to the spaceport, make the shuttles a little bit quicker, or let you start with a shuttle if you paid even more team points for it. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how to change it, but all I know is that hop movement breaks a lot of things. The other thing I really dislike about the game is the rules. Now, not the rules themselves of playing them, but the rules as they're written. So you've got the 4-page system rules, and you've got the extra 2 pages for the Phobos Rising special rules and scenario specific stuff. So I mean, there must be other games coming in this system if there isn't already. But they're written so poorly. They're disorganised. The beginning of the rules starts using terms that aren't really defined till later in the rules, if at all. They're written with the clarity of a muddy puddle and the organisation of a bag full of pretzels, looping back on themselves continually. After reading it through 3 times, I got the rules. But even then, when the first play, didn't really understand. It didn't really click. Once you get playing, the game itself plays really fine. But these sticking to the old-fashioned SPI style breakdown of components, introduction, map, playing pieces, setup, sequence, it does this game no favours at all. But, like I said, when you get it around, it is an enjoyable game. It's an enjoyable game that you can play in 25 minutes, and you can play many, many times and always have a bit of fun. This will be staying with me in rotation just because of that. And what's more, this from Decision Games is the minigame series. I bought this on a whim for, £15-16, and I've had loads of fun with it. So much so that the other games in the minigame series I'm now likely to try. Because when I am placing an order with Second Chance Games, and I know they've got stacks of these in their warehouse, if I've got an extra tenner, I'll get another little game to go along with my order. Not only does it make my order feel more worthwhile, getting multiple things at once, but having a little palate cleanser of a game, brilliant. Phobos Rising from Decision's minigame series, definitely worth it. Since playing and reading the rules, I have seen on Board Game Geek that they do have a rewritten rules book. I haven't looked at it myself, but if you do pick it up, I'd recommend possibly double checking that if these are as confusing to you as they were for me. Well, I'm going to get back to trying to take my rebels to stop the dictatorship taking over Mars. And until next time, happy gaming!